It's 6 o'clock. Good evening and welcome to Newsnight. And coming up in this holiday edition, Member of Parliament for Norton set to file another urgent question in Parliament demanding full disclosure on cost of President's latest foreign travel as he accuses President Akufo-Addo of using a luxurious jet costing 3.7 million cedis for his United States trip.
I mean, why? I mean, you can imagine if we allowed it. This is just the first year of his second term. If he continues at this rate, 10 million Ghana cedis. Imagine what it can do.
We'll bring you details. Also tonight, 12 persons arrested in Tripoli in connection with violent protest after the announcement of the president's nominee for the district released. We have details as local government minister Dan Botre asks that all such persons be prosecuted.
The law should take its course. There's nothing like because you're a party person, you can decide to go against the law and people should allow you to go. There's absolutely no justification about it.
Government to reintroduce motion that will ensure the election of MMDCEs are on partisan lines.
So let's make it open and let political parties sponsor people.
Will this be back on the table?
Yes. And it started. We have a committee in place at the ministry.
Also tonight, final year student of Solar SHS regained freedom from police detention without a formal charge after they were arrested for allegedly engaging in occultism.
We want to let them know that whatever they want to do, we are aware. So they did undertaking. The only sign bond, that is all.
And coming up in business,
we hear from Executive Secretary of the Ghana International Trade Commission, Dr. Frank Jekumo, on Kwame Nkrumah's vision of common market for Africa being lived through the African Free Trade Area.
And later in business, we'll hear from the man we are celebrating today. My name is Ernest Manu. We have details of these stories and more. You can join us with the views and comments via our WhatsApp console at 055 1111 997. Hello again, many thanks for joining us in this half hour of news. Now, Member of Parliament for Norton Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa has served notice of filing another urgent question in Parliament demanding full disclosure on the cost of the President's foreign travels. The ranking member on Foreign Affairs Committee is alleging that President Akufo-Addo's 3 recent foreign trips is costing the taxpayer 10 million cedis. Mr. Ablakwa in his latest statement is accusing the President of chartering a luxurious jet costing the taxpayer 3.7 million in his current trip to the United States. Let's go into the phone lines now and speak to the MP, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa. We are grateful you could join us here on Newsnight. So you claim that you can confirm that the President is using the same luxurious jet that generated controversy some months ago.
Yeah, good evening. I can confirm that. It's the LXDIO, the same Boeing 737 jet, which the president flew to Germany and the UK. Rather shockingly, the presidential spokesperson had tried to deny the claims we put out on the 7th of September. He held a press conference and said that our facts are not accurate, except that he did not provide alternative facts. He didn't tell us how the president flew to the UK and Germany. But, I mean, clearly that was Mr. Jinahin peddling falsehood. I can confirm that that is the aircraft that was used to the UK and to Germany, and it is the same aircraft which has been used to the United States of America. And you see, the fundamental objection to this penchant for chartered aircraft is that we have a functioning presidential jet. The Falcon 900 EXE is in pristine condition. It has not gotten to its, if you like, lifespan. It has not gone to the end of its lifespan. Parliament was told in 2008 that it will have a minimum of 20 years lifespan. Interestingly, the Namibians who bought their Falcon in 1991, they are still using theirs. The Namibian president flew to the UN General Assembly with their 30-year-old presidential jet. Why is the Ghanaian president refusing to use a presidential jet which is barely 11 years old, in very pristine condition, mint condition? I mean,
Mr. Blackwell, on this,
the sad reality is that as the president refuses to use this jet, you are seeing the jet being used by other persons.
And I was just coming to that. You're alleging that George Weah had used the same jet, this presidential jet you talk about, just a few weeks ago. How is that? Can you give us details?
Not a few weeks ago, a few days ago. I can confirm to you that while the president was aboard the LXDIO, the Luxembourg-based luxury jet, our presidential jet was being used by the Liberian president, President George Weah. And indeed, the president of Liberia landed on Saturday, the 18th of September, at the Roberts Field Airport in Liberia at 10 a.m. Liberian time. So we know that is the second time in the same week that the Liberian president is using our presidential jet. And you see, it raises matters of, double burden on the Ghanaian taxpayer, because now we are footing the bills of the president's luxury travels, and at the same time, we are footing the bills of another president who chooses to use our presidential jet because he realizes that our president does not want to use our presidential jet, and so he's making the best.
Well, Mr. Blackwell, you don't know that for sure, but what I just want to know, and I'm sure listeners who are listening to this conversation would want to know what the legalities are as far as the presidential jet of this country, of the state, is concerned. The law doesn't allow that other states can. The law doesn't allow Ghana to give it out to other states like it was given to the Liberian president. Is that what you're essentially saying, or that it is not appropriate?
What I'm saying is that the records available to us in Parliament, if you check the Hansard of 18th March 2008, the Falcon was purchased as Ghana's presidential jet for our president. Nowhere in the agreement were we told that the jet will be available to other persons. Yes, we value our bilateral relations with Liberians and other neighbors in the sub-region for that matter. But you see, the terms and conditions should be made known. What really are the conditions under which the Liberian president is using our presidential jet? And if the Liberian president can use our presidential jet, at the same time, we confirm that there's nothing wrong with this jet. It's in great condition. Why is our president not using it to save money? 10 million Ghana cedis, hoping 10 million Ghana cedis for just 3 trips, in the space of, less than 3 months. If the president continues at this rate, will anything be left in the coffers?
So, Mr. Blackwell, you have...
the president who promised to protect the public purse.
Yeah, Mr. Blackwell, you say you have evidence to these claims that you're making, and you have hinted you're going to file an urgent question once the House resumes for... which minister exactly? Because the last time you filed a question on this, the finance minister did say that it wasn't within his purview to provide those details. Are you directing this at the National Security Minister or the Foreign Affairs Minister?
Remember, there is already a pending question before the National Security Minister. The Right Honourable Speaker approved that question, and when the House resumes, the National Security Minister is expected to respond to the earlier controversy, the first one on the ACJ 320 nil. I can assure you that we will pursue these 2 other recent trips. Clearly, the president refuses to be a listening president. He does not want to comply with his own pledge to protect the public purse. And so, in the spirit of transparency and accountability, as is expected of any parliament which must hold the executive in check, we will pursue this matter on the floor of the House through questions, through motions, and all the parliamentary tools available to us.
Thank you very much. That's the ranking member on the Foreign Affairs Committee of Parliament, Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa. We reached out to the presidency for a comment on this issue, but they indicated that they won't go on record with this, and that issues regarding the president's travel is a matter of national security. But they confirmed that the Liberian president, George Weah, used the presidential jet for the ECOWAS meeting here in Accra, and this is granted based on a request made to the office of the president. And online, we have cited, a show of the Falcon landing on the tarmac with the inscription "Republic of Ghana." The Liberian president George Weah in a white apparel stepping out of the presidential jet. You can find that when you go online to myjoyonline.com. Now, away from this, the 12th suspect arrested this dawn at Tripoli in connection with the violence that greeted the announcement of the MMDCE's nominees for the district have been granted bail after a long meeting between the police and the NPP regional executives behind closed doors. The 12 persons are said to be involved in the protest that led to the vandalization of some properties. We'll speak to our regional correspondent shortly, but first, listen to the acting Northeast Regional Police PRO, ASP Robert Anabik, who confirmed the arrest earlier to join us.
Yeah, they are all at stake with the violence that occurred on Sunday. They were picked up this morning in their various houses.
All right, and are you pursuing some more, or these are all the ones you're looking for?
Well, we are still on manhunt for the rest who are involved, but we are doing intelligence-led briefing to arrest those people who are actually involved, but not just to arrest any other person who may not be linked for the purpose of it. But we are trying our best to make sure that all those people are arrested. They have something to do with the violence that occurred on that day.
And what next after the arrests?
They have been screened, after which to be put before court.
All right, and so you're sure that the 12 that you've picked up so far, they are all associated with the arrest and is not more of a soup?
So we've analyzed the video that was circulated and we've been able to identify them. Some of them in the video and some of them that we have evidence that they are linked to the case, they were arrested.
How many more in all are you looking for?
That I can't give an exact number. As far as when we are able to get them, we'll let you.
That's the Northeast Regional Police PRO, the acting PRO for the police in the region, ASP Robert Anabik. Let's go to the phone lines now. We're joined by our correspondent, Ilyasu Tanko. Ilyasu, we're learning that the 12 who were being processed for court before the arrival of the NPP executives have been released without any charges. Help us with details on that.
Well, that's a very interesting development happening at the Northeast Regional Police Headquarters. I mean, these suspects were released and were packed in a waiting pickup vehicle. And as soon as we got that confirmation from the party regional secretary, and as soon as our report, these suspects were taken back into custody. And as I speak to you now, the police have said they have denied bail. They are not going to grant them bail, and they have begun screening to identify the real culprits to process them for court. So I can say that the police have made a sharp U-turn. All the suspects have been loaded back into custody as I speak to you now.
There is a very interesting development. And Ilyasu, earlier, just before they were released, we heard from the man they were, supporting, or the Orlando, the other nominee who wanted to be nominated by the president for the position of district chief executive. He actually demanded their release. Now, after the police made the U-turn, picking them up again, putting them back in their custody, what have we heard from him?
Well, we have not heard from him. I can tell you that the party regional chairman, after that bold or unsuccessful meeting with the police, have just left the police command. Like you said earlier on, SK Orlando had made a request demanding that the suspect be released immediately, but that has not happened. he had warned that there's going to be a severe consequences if they were not released. But as I speak to you now, we have not heard from Orlando himself.
And tell us about Orlando. What position does he hold or influence does he hold within the party and within the district and indeed the constituency?
Because of he has been a constituency executive in that particular constituency, and 2 times he had vowed for the district chief executive position, and he had also, we understand, had also a plan of contesting the primaries. I think last year he was asked to step down, and he did. And so he claimed that he was told he will be rewarded with this particular position, and that is not happening. That is why he's agitating. So I can tell you that he is a bit an authority figure in the Chirpone constituency as far as the MPP party is concerned.
Thank you very much. That's correspondent Ilyasu Tanko. Well, last night, the local government minister, Dan Butchie, was on PM Express on the Joy News channel, and he called for the prosecution of all persons who were protesting illegally and also destroying property. Listen to him.
This whole business of negative news is more news. But certainly, the law should take its course. I mean, there's nothing like because you're a party person or because it's about political issues, you can decide to go against the law and people should allow you to go. There's absolutely no justification about it. President is supposed to make appointments. He's made appointments. That's it.
And in a related development, government says it has not abandoned plans to ensure that metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives are elected on partisan lines. The first term of the Akufo-Addo administration saw the initiation of the process to have the law amended to allow qualified persons contest for the position. But that move collapsed following disagreement over holding the MMDC elections on partisan lines. But following the pocket of violence that's characterized the nomination of MMDCs by the president, governance analysts are urging government to revisit the agenda. Speaking on PM Express, the local government minister Dan Butchie said a committee at the ministry has started engaging some civil society organizations on this matter.
And it doesn't make sense that we shall have the superstructure being partisan, but then the base, you say it should not be partisan. It doesn't make sense. And we all know that after elections at the district assembly, political parties come out and say that in the assembly elections that we had, we won about 60%. Even though the Article 55 says that don't sponsor candidates. But parties will tell that, oh, we have many of our members who have won the elections. You understand? So we cannot continue to live with that deceit. No. So let's make it open and let political parties sponsor people. Our party, MPP, believes it should be partisan.
You have more than 3 years more. Will this be back on the table?
Yes. In 2020, it was in our manifesto that we shall build more consensus towards that. We deepen the consultation process, and it started. We have a committee in place at the ministry.
Your ministry?
Yes, some civil society organizations who have come to talk to us, and they have made available some of the documentation and the contacts and the consultation that they also did. And they think that we should do it. The same Ghanaian who can be that sophisticated. We are saying that no, when to assembly elections, let's not make it partisan. No. So what?
That's the local government minister, Dan Butchie there. Let me take you now to the Savannah region and some final year students of Sola Senior High School who were arrested from the exam hall yesterday by armed police officers from the Sola Command and detained overnight have been released and sent back to campus. In a phone interview with Joy News, Isaac Nonya, our correspondent there, had the police confirm this to him. Listen to Commander ASP Ajay de Graft Armour confirming the news.
Were they charged before release or? No. We are charging them. I told you yesterday that it was this thing that we want to let them know that whatever they want to do, we are aware. So they shouldn't do. So they did undertaking. The only time bond. That is all.
A final year student whose name we are withholding for now spoke to Joy News about the incident yesterday.
Yesterday we were still in the learning hall. When we just finished now. They went and closed all the doors, leaving one, and the soldiers was standing by one with their guns. So our witnesses said that no one is moving an inch. Now all of us should sit. He just picked one paper that he used to mention names. That if you hear your name, you should come out. So he mentioned some few people names. When she just mentioned them now, the police just picked them, that they are sent them to the police station. Even no one knows what they did. Even yesterday, our head of academy, he was asking the headmistress. She didn't mind her. So after that, some of the students moved to Solara's palace and went and report. And Solara's called our headmistress and talked to her. And they released them. As at now, we don't know what they did.
So that's a final year student of the Solar Senior High School speaking to Joy News on the arrest of the students. Joy News is learning that the students were asked to write their statement, and we've reached out to the school as well as the district office of the Ghana Education Service. They have been tight-lipped on this matter. When we have a response from them, we'll bring that to you. You're listening to Newsnight here on Joy 99.7 FM. It is the holiday edition. Time now for business, and George is here with the latest. Hello, George.
Hi, Kojo, and coming up in business, we hear from the Executive Secretary of the Ghana International Trade Commission, Frank Ajekum, on Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's vision of common African market being realized through the African Free Trade Area. And also be getting more details on Ghanaians who want to travel to France and the conditions that they have to meet. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one stop shop for all your office essentials, and Alliance Live. Let's now settle for the details. Executive Secretary of the Ghana International Trade Commission, Frank Ajekum, has indicated that the continent is now living the dream of Ghana's first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, for Africa's common trading market. Dr. Nkrumah, as part of efforts to promote economic and political African Union, proposed a single common market, but it appears this vision had to take more than 60 years to be realized. So Ajekum tells Joy Business the vision is now being achieved through the African Free Trade Area Pact.
At this moment, yes, we can say we are beginning to live in Nkrumah's dream, because the idea of the common of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area is to make sure that African economies and trading systems are well integrated in a way so as we are able to leverage on our markets and on our systems for the benefit of our people. If you look at what is happening in Africa today, where trade among African countries just about 15%, whereas between Africa and Asia and Europe and the US is getting between the 30% and 60%. So it tells us there's a lot that we have to do. And so it's better that we are starting now than starting late. Yes, you could have done it like 60 years ago, but that wasn't possible. So now that we've started, it means we are beginning to be on the good track. And I think it's a good thing for all of us to get on board the AFTA train and then push it for as far as we can.
Executive Secretary of the Ghana International Trade Commission, Frank Ajekum. Now, fully vaccinated Ghanaians can now travel to France with a verified COVID-19 vaccination card and also a Schengen visa. Now, France, just like other European countries, plays strict entry rules to help check the spread of COVID-19 to their countries. Let's hear from the French ambassador to Ghana, Annie Sofiave.
If you are fully vaccinated and you have a card with a QR code, then you can travel to France with just a visa and this card. If you are not fully vaccinated, then you still need a laissez-passer, which is you need to present a compelling reason, and a really compelling reason to travel. Then you explain, you give the documents to explain this compelling reason, and then the decision is made in France and sent back to us whether they consider it is a serious enough compelling reason to travel. And then you will need a PCR test less than 32 hours to be able to go to France. There's no quarantine, I should think, or is it? I can't remember, because the rules are changing regularly, so there can be a quarantine, but I think it's a self-quarantine.
Annie Sofiave is France's French ambassador to Ghana. Now, Standard Chartered Bank has indicated its commitment to supporting businesses despite COVID-19 threats and rising industry non-performing loans. Total lending by banks reduced significantly from last year because of COVID-19. Now, this is despite the fact that for Standard Chartered Bank, they gave out some $70 million to its customers and businesses. However, there are fears that with the surge in COVID cases and high loan default rates, lending could be affected. But speaking to newsmen visiting regional head of client coverage for Africa and Middle East, Samadlon said that they will focus on some strategic areas for now.
We have tried to keep a bit of a balanced approach in terms of supporting our clients. So a lot of our large projects and facilities and client and businesses are ongoing. So even in the teeth of pandemic last year, we have supported flagship projects across Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa, across Middle East, Africa, Middle East, and the world over. Absolutely. Our appetite, honest to God, we will respect customer and client confidentiality and deal confidentiality, so I can't quote examples, but I could quote examples here. We have appetite to do more.
Samadlon is Standard Chartered Bank regional head in charge of client coverage for Africa and the Middle East. The National Petroleum Authority has offered to assist its counterpart in Sierra Leone, that is the Petroleum Regulatory Agency, to improve efficiency in regulating petroleum downstream business in that country. In further this, the team from MP led by its chief executive, Dr. Mustafa Hamid, paid a working visit to the executive chairman of that country, that is Brahima Balero Koroma, and his team to Freetown, Sierra Leone. The partnership between the two entities will, among other things, share experience with the team in terms of structures, proposals, policies, and procedures in regulating the petroleum sector. And that's all for Business on Newsnight.
Thank you very much, George, for the latest in business. The National Peace Council says it has presented a report to the National Security detailing concerns of alleged marginalization of persons from the Volta region by the NPP administration. Chairman of the Council, Reverend Dr. Ernest Manu, said at the commemoration of this year's International Peace Day that the report captured the lack of the construction of a sea defense wall, the alleged military invasion during the 2020 Mars registration exercise, among others.
Yesterday, the board had extensive meeting with the Minister of National Security, and that was when we went to present to him the report on the work we've done in the Volta region. We've been in the Volta region for 3 continuous weeks, listening to the people in the Volta region to hear why they feel marginalized, neglected, and that they have not had part of the national cake. We gathered all the information and we met with the minister to present our report to him. So there's a constant engagement depending on what the issues are and which department we need to engage, so that we keep doing all those things to make sure that we bring to the attention of the government what to do. After that meeting, there's going to be a follow-up to that work which we've done. And we are now strategizing as to how to do that, to make sure that the people of Volta region will feel part of Ghana, that nobody who is a Voltarian or in the Oti region will ever feel that he is not part of this country.
Chairman of the Peace Council, Reverend Dr. Ernest Manu there. From a street child to a politician, this is the story of MP former Dina Francis Xavier Sosu, who was among the lot that were catered for many years ago at the Village of Hope. Over the years, the organization, made up of 3 schools, a hospital and an orphanage, has provided shelter for many children who hitherto had no hope of a bright future. At the organization's 25th anniversary celebration last Sunday, many people like Mr. Sosu shared their stories to encourage children who are still there. Here's a report by Judith Awachitando.
I say it proudly wherever I find myself that Village of Hope is the reason why I am where I am today. And I'm proud of Village of Hope, and I'll always be proud of Village of Hope.
That is Francis Xavier Sosu recounting his days at the Village of Hope in Gomoafete. He is among many other children who were rescued from the streets and given a new life at the organization.
My mother was a slave girl because she was what we call a vojushi or a trokoshi. I being the third born, I had to just struggle my way to be able to make it. I used to sleep at the Malata market. At the senior high school, apart from the first admission fee I paid, I was unable to pay for any more school fees for all the 3 years I was there. So they awarded me a full scholarship to go to school.
The Village of Hope has been home for many abandoned, homeless and vulnerable children since its establishment in 1996. For many years, it has offered these children a roof over their heads, quality education and a renewed hope of a brighter future. Solomon Abriya-Boa was a beneficiary of the services provided at the institution. Today, he's the only craniofacial surgeon in all of West Africa.
It all started, let me say, from 1997 when my mother died. I was then in the medical school second year, and when that happened, I needed to take care of all my sisters and take care of myself as well. So it was actually a struggle. Because of that, I actually failed and was repeated during that class. The Village of Hope paid my school fees from 2001 till I completed medical school.
Village of Hope is 25 years now and currently houses over 1,000 rescued children. Fred Asari is Group Managing Director.
Our vision is to establish a world-class institution that provides the best of care.
Judith Awatri Tando filed that report, and that's it for the holiday edition of Newsnight here on Joy 99.7 FM. But as you may be aware, today is Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Day, 112 years since Ghana's first president was born. He died in 1972, but remains an icon for many. We'll leave you with excerpts of some interesting speeches from Osajefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. My name is Ernest Manu.